I can't see your face. You must remove the veil. No, I can't remove the veil. Oh, you'll remove the veil if you're in Quebec. Have you heard the news? This is going to cause outrage and some real vibrant discussions. I'm Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance. Quebec, as you know, is a city that is a French-speaking city. It's a predominantly French city. It is in Canada, but its historical and cultural roots are from France. I believe it's 2004 that France banned religious symbols and veils, face coverings, in its public school system. And people in Quebec said, you know what? Let's go after the hijab. Now, I'm certain that they didn't say that, but that's what it would have focused on, and everyone knows it. So that's how the media is reporting it, which is accurate. A broken clock is right twice a day. So they're saying, look, if you work for the government at any level, you cannot cover your face during work hours, period. If you are on public transportation, you may not cover your face. If you go to a public facility, a government-run facility, you may not cover your face. The end. Now, the reason that I find this interesting, well, there's actually several reasons. One is, and I've discussed this before, when Kemal Ataturk, who was the ruler of Turkey at the end of World War I, he's the one who abolished the caliphate, all right? He abolished the successor of Muhammad. He set out to break the back of a lot of Sharia law in Turkey. Wanted it to become a modern Western nation. So he outlawed the fez, which is the traditional wrapping of the sort of like a sheet or a towel on men's heads. He outlawed it. And he said, you're not going to wear it. If you want to wear a hat, men, you're going to wear a hat with a brim, like a Western hat, like a fedora. And they killed men. They killed men, executed them for wearing the fez, okay? The numbers of men killed, I've read various accounts from scores to hundreds, and one account even said there were thousands. I don't know, I wasn't there. But it was no small thing, because it was an emblem that he was determined to purge, and he had to have a place where he could pick a fight and win the fight. So the hijab, the face covering, goes right to the life of Muhammad. I'll tell you the origin of the story. It's very interesting. Muhammad had an adopted son who had a beautiful wife. And Muhammad went in one day to the son's house and walked in unaware, and his adopted son's wife was either naked or half naked, but mostly undressed. He was very startled. She was really beautiful. And he walked out muttering, "Thanks be to Allah who changes the hearts of men." And she heard him muttering that. So long story short, it's very sordid. His son-in-law, or his adopted son, came to him and said, if you think she's beautiful, if you want her, I'll divorce her and you can have her as your wife. So Muhammad said, no, she's your wife, keep her. Then Muhammad said he got a Quranic revelation. So this is in the Quran, all right? And in essence, the Quranic revelation said that adopted sons of their adopted fathers are free to divorce their wives, and their adopted fathers can marry their former wife without shame or guilt or any sin being committed. When that happened, Aisha, his child bride, said to him, isn't your Lord quick to give you the things that you want? Now, she was a teenager at that point. She was very sassy, according to the records left by historians. So she was, Muhammad had 9 wives when he died, numerous sex slaves, and she just thought, here we go again. Yeah, I'm sure God gave you a Quranic revelation. So the man, in fact, divorced the woman. Muhammad took her as his wife. And this created no small stir. This is scandalous, even then, even though he said he was the prophet of God. And On the day that he married her, people were coming by the house to see her because the word gotten out how beautiful she was. People were dropping by Muhammad's house on his wedding day, and they wanted to look at her. And it was shortly after that that the command from Allah came that Muhammad's wives were to be veiled. They were by order to be veiled. And then that was adopted by other Muslim women after the fact. But the first command was because Muhammad didn't want people looking at his wives, especially his new wife that just was married to his adopted son. Anyway, I'll be right back. Today, many so-called Christian intellectuals believe that the God of evolution used billions of years of death and destruction to evolve the bodies of the first human beings. Then, they simply declare the theory of evolution as fact to justify their unproven scientific fallacies. By the grace of God, more and more Catholics are rejecting this modern-day mythology in favor of the traditional doctrine of creation, as recorded by the Bible, and believed and taught by all the fathers and doctors of the Church. To find out how sound theology and natural science confirm the sacred history of Genesis, visit the Colby Center for the Study of Creation, and be sure to check out our bookstore, which has titles like I Have Spoken to You from Heaven, A Catholic Defense of Creation in 6 Days, and A Catholic Assessment of Evolutionary Theory. That's the Colby Center for the Study of Creation. It's a malady of the human soul. All of us are human, and all of us have a soul. And one of our maladies that afflicts some of us is that we impute to others our sin. We think that everyone has the same temptations that we do. We all have temptations. Some people are tempted by drugs, some are tempted by sexual sins, some are tempted by gossip, some are tempted by theft. All right? You could put a pile of cocaine in front of some people and they're never going to take it. All right? Put a pile of money in front of them and they might take some of that. I make my point. So Muhammad had a significant lust problem. All right? He just did. I mean, even his partisans today will say that he had the stamina, the sexual stamina of 100 men, and he was obsessed with sex. All right? And you can find this all in their materials. We would say that on a clinical level today. At their time, they would not have dared to say that. They just said, hey, he's the prophet of God, and if he wants to have 9 wives and sex slaves and go into them as many times as he wants, that's his business. He's the prophet of God. But he really had a thing for beautiful women, and so he didn't want people looking at his wives. He didn't want people looking at his wives because he was thinking that all the men around him were looking at his wives the way that he looked at women. So he made his wives put on the veil, and then ultimately all women in Islam, under Islamic law, were forced to wear a veil. Okay? Why? Because all men, when they see the pretty face of a woman, in Muhammad's mind, are driven to want to capture them. I mean, you just fill in the blank. I'll leave it at that. This is what we're dealing with, people. So to come back to Quebec. Quebec said, nope, not going to do it anymore. Now, this is going to be a fun debate. I'm very interested to see how this plays out. It'll be interesting to see if the American press covers it. There was a video recently that I saw. It was almost comical. I actually did laugh. It was a young Muslim woman talking about how her, can you put her picture up at least? Put her picture up for me. She's talking about how that her face covering is a sense, it gives her empowerment, that it's a feminist thing to wear her face covering. Now, I found that funny because they're required. It's required of them. So I don't know how, quote, self-determination for women, close quote, is empowered by a religion that demands that a woman wear the veil so as to not provoke lust in men. If a man sees this pretty face, it's going to provoke lust in him, and she's going to put herself in danger. I'm just stating the facts here, people. So it'll be interesting to see how this debate gets played out, and if the Hollywood elite in America, if I could just go there for a second, are going to rush to the defense of the women in Quebec, if the left-wing newspapers, news outlets, TV, etc. in America will rush to their defense, if they'll say that this is Islamophobia, if they'll compare it to President Trump's travel ban, if they'll talk about how this is the intolerance of a bigoted few, or if, just maybe, they'll step back and go, huh, you really don't think of Quebec as being a bastion of intolerance. It is Canada, after all. Think about it. Canada has much more of a reflection in its major cities, ethically, morally, politically, much more of a reflection of crazy left-wing cities in Europe than it does of, you know, a really conservative city like Little Rock or Nashville or whatever, Knoxville, Tennessee. So I don't know how this is going to play out, but it brings up a valid discussion. They don't even want this discussion, but it's not just the cultural implications of Islam has a different culture, but the legal implications, okay? Because when Camille Ataturk banned the fez of the men, his mission was to break the back of Sharia law, all right? And Sharia law, if you ever read The Reliance of the Traveler, put that book title up, The Reliance of the Traveler. That is a volume of Sharia law. If you ever take the time to read it, it will send chills of terror down your spine. When you see what the rules of Islam are, men, women, children, non-Muslims, it's terrifying. It is tyrannical. So maybe in Quebec, somebody's got their head screwed on straight, at least in this instance, and they're going after putting the camel nose in the tent, saying, we've got a problem with Islamic law. Let's pick a fight with a face covering. I'll be right back. Have Muslim terrorists hijacked the peaceful religion of Islam? Or is there more to the story? The answer lies in the life of one man, Muhammad, the founder of Islam. Muslim terrorists see themselves inside a 1,400-year-old story, a narrative that focuses on specific events in the life of Muhammad. We are going to look at Muhammad's life using their most sacred literature. We will look at Muhammad at the Battle of Badr. We'll see him deal with those who mock him. We'll see the times when he used deception. We'll witness Muhammad's anti-Semitism. And yes, we will discuss Muhammad and his teachings concerning sex, slavery, and jihad. Friend, if you want to understand Islamic terrorism, get this series today. A formal complaint has been filed against former FBI Director James Comey in the New York State Bar, asking that he be disbarred as a lawyer because he violated a certain code of ethics regarding the information and the investigation surrounding Hillary's emails. It came out, it's been a few days now, but it came out that Hillary, that Comey wrote a draft exonerating her 2 months before he made the statement, while the investigation was going on, before they had even interviewed her. This was a political fix, people. So he's in real trouble. And it might be the least of his troubles. I promise you, the Congress is going to have him back to testify because he committed some acts that were for sure unethical, perhaps against the code of ethics for his for his lawyer status, and also perhaps a criminal act, an accessory after the fact, involved in a cover-up, okay? And not to mention this whole thing that we covered the other day about uranium and Russia and the kickbacks to the Clinton Foundation. Comey knew about this. They had an investigation going on for 4 years. 4 years, and they never brought an indictment. It was all a political fix. So, let them keep looking. Let them keep looking for some Russian tampering with the U.S. election. If anything, to me, it feels at this point farcical, really and truly. Hillary was a bad candidate, and America had had it, and America wanted an agent of significant change, okay? This is not, let's carry a sheep through the temple. This is let's overthrow the tables in the temple with a whip like Jesus did, all right? Comparing the disruptive nature of the Trump presidency. And if I could go on a quick rabbit trail, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in 2018 to the Republicans. And they're starting to get the message, I think, but guys like McCain, George W. Bush, they don't get it. Jeb Bush, they don't get it. Okay? I've had it with Mitch McConnell. Now, my problem, if I could just toot my own horn for 1 minute, my problem is I tend to be ahead of the curve. If you go online and you look, in fact, put up one of those pictures because they're funny. We did a tour through Kentucky, all 7 media markets, got tons of television and newspaper coverage, tons. And I called it, I said, it's Mitch McConnell's boneless chicken ranch. And I was at that point urging Mitch McConnell to prohibit, just don't allow a vote to come for, I don't remember if it was Sotomayor or Kagan or who it was, but it was a Supreme Court justice. And I said, look, you've got the power to stop this. Don't let these people take the court. And I've constantly been going after McConnell because he is a pillar of jello. He is an enemy of righteousness by virtue of his inaction. Okay? It's what he doesn't do and what he allows to happen. Okay? So my problem is I've been ahead of the curve. We did this tour, the Mitch McConnell's boneless chicken ranch, saying, look, this guy's not our friend. People, get him out of office. Now there's people like Lindsey Graham saying publicly that if the Republicans don't get their act together and pass health care reform and pass tax cuts, that Mitch McConnell's done and that other Republicans are finished. So nothing would make me happier than to see people like McCain and Mitch McConnell enjoy the retirement they have so richly earned. Get them out of office and get someone in there who is righteous, who will fight for what is right. We need U.S. senators like Roy Moore or Jeff Sessions, the man that he replaced, or the new fellow that just won in Arkansas. Forgive me for his name slipped my mind. That's what we need. And the Republicans have been the biggest impediment to President Trump achieving the goals that he promised people when he was elected. So I don't know. James Comey's got a problem. He's going to be brought before Congress, but to finish up my rabbit trail, the Republicans have a problem. And their problem is not President Trump. Their problem is the cowardly, lackadaisical, status quo garbage that they have given us for years. Some people would argue for decades. And if they get their butts handed to them in 2018, I will be one who is happy because I want change. And President Trump is trying to make it happen, and the Republicans are resisting him, not helping him. I'll be right back to talk about a little bit about the NFL. Don't go away. What Would Mohammed Do? Islamic Terrorism Explained is the best movie series documentary ever produced on the life of Muhammad and Islam. How do I know? Because it's what critics are saying. John Moore, radio host and author, said, I learned more from What Would Mohammed Do about Islam and Islamic terrorism than I've learned from everything I ever read and watched in my entire life. Best-selling author Dr. Bill Warner said, What Would Mohammed Do is the best movie series, TV production on the life of Muhammad and Islamic terrorism that has ever been produced. Friends, this is what the experts are saying. No one has ever done what we've done. I encourage you to get 1, 2, 4 copies. Call 304-289-3700. That's 304-289-3700, or order it at the address or the website that you see on the screen. Friend, we have a series that will help you and those you love to have an impact on this country. It's called Incorrectness. That's Latin for revolution against the killing of innocent people. This is the history, the philosophy, and the theology of social revolution in America. We look at the Stamp Act, the Boston Tea Party, the abolition of slavery, the abolition of child labor, women's voting rights, the civil rights movement. All of them have this in common: courage, sacrifice, dedication, and in-your-face tactics and rhetoric. That's one of the reasons that we've been losing the culture wars the last 40 years, is because the bad guys are using these tactics and we aren't. We will send you this 14-part TV series along with these manuals for students, a teacher's facilitator guide for only $40. Go to 304-289-3700, 304-289-3700. Steve Bannon, who was advisor to the president, helped the president get elected, and is now back at Breitbart. Steve Bannon, hated by the left, hated by the Republican machine. He recently publicly vowed that he is going to run a primary against every Republican senator who's up for re-election in 2018, except for Ted Cruz. So when we were off the air, that was point of clarity. I would not like to see the Senate fall into the hands of the Democrats. I would not. But I would love to see the squish Republicans defeated in primaries. And then for the Republican who won the primary to win the election. If it takes getting the Democrats to win, that I'm not so sure about. I gotta still think that one through. I'll get back to you on that. The NFL. They're in deep trouble. I just read that their numbers, or viewing numbers, are down almost 20% since 2 years ago. Now, those numbers are cataclysmic because it means a massive reduction. A simple math would be that your commercials are now less 20%. So the NFL is a business, all right? And it is a very lucrative business, probably the second most financially lucrative business, sport business in America after NASCAR. At least the last numbers I read it was. So they need viewers. The price for a commercial is based strictly on how many eyes are on it. That's how it works. And then the NFL gets to share the revenue, and this is how these guys make money. Well, again, when you're so ethically unstable or ethically misguided, when you're so politically correct, whatever adjectives you want to use to describe, that you think that the emperor looks beautiful and you're saying, those clothes are amazing. When you know he's naked, or your eyes tell you he's naked, but you just deny the facts and say, no, those clothes are great. And then it takes a little boy to come forward and say, that emperor's naked. The viewing public they're the little boy. We're laughing. Are the owners that stupid? Are they that foolish? They can't be that stupid because they're so rich. They're such good businessmen. How could they forget that the end user is the viewer? If I go into a McDonald's, I do not want anything but a quarter pounder with cheese. Okay? That's it. I don't want to hear somebody behind the counter tell me that President Trump is a bad man, and I don't want to hear him say that Hillary is the Wicked Witch of the West. I just want a hamburger. He's wearing the McDonald's uniform. He submits to the McDonald's rules. She submits to the McDonald's rules. I want my service. I want to leave. Okay? So the NFL is a business, and we go there to see a game, or we watch it on TV to see a game. And I've already cut way back. I'm almost not watching any NFL at all. And what I'm watching, and what's kind of fun, I can hardly believe I'm saying this, is college football. Old rivalries, and you can bet your bottom dollar all them kids are standing up for the national anthem. All right, I've got to go. I hope you enjoyed today's program. Go to our website if you want to see all kinds of free things that are there to help you become a stronger advocate for righteousness and justice. And if you like the program and you want to make a contribution, we will happily take it. And we're trying to raise money to make more duplicates of the DVD series, What Would Muhammad Do? So if you want to be a big contributor for that, go to the website and learn more. God bless you.
Mm-hmm.